We are coming up for about 3 months now since the launch of Clan Siege, and I thought it was a good opportunity to do a bit of where are we at. There's some recent updates coming in 9.2 that has fixed some problems that we highlighted in previous videos, but I wanted to just talk about where Siege is at from my personal and clan experience, and also kind of highlight the next things we absolutely need to get fixed, because I do think of all the different content pieces that Raid have released in the past kind of 24 months, Siege is probably the best one that we have had and has the most opportunity for a lot of progression and fun as you get closer towards late game and different, chase objectives. Because a lot of the other content pieces in Raid right now are kind of resolved for a lot of players, and that can lead to a little bit of boredom. And I think Siege is the best place for clans to actually feel like they can work together. But it's not perfect. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to talk about where are we at, what have they solved, what problems still exist, and what needs to happen in order for us to get this game mode to a really, really fun point. As you're preparing for your next siege in Raid Shadow Legends, it's also important to make sure your base at home is equally secure with today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Like many of you, my life is now dependent on access to the internet, and I travel more than I have ever done before. I still need to dial in and get those Raid daily quests and of course those siege battles done so that I don't let my clan down, meaning I really need to stay connected to the internet. But the risk of public Wi-Fi is still super real. This is where Surfshark's subscription is the perfect companion for me on the road. By using Surfshark's VPN technology, I can secure all of the information that I send over all of my devices by securing my login information, any access to any subscriptions and services, including logging into the game. You might also be craving a movie night in on the sofa with Netflix, and you really want to delve into the world of Middle-earth with, of course, the greatest box set of all time, The Lord of the Rings. But you open up Netflix and you realize that actually Lord of the Rings is not available in your country. As Theoden would say, fear no darkness, because you can change your location to over 100 different locations with Surfshark's technology, meaning you can change your location to Australia where the world of Middle-earth is available, and you can stream that right to your TV using your Netflix subscription. And the best part is you can connect your account to as many devices as you want with one simple low-cost subscription. If that hasn't convinced you, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee on any account you create, and you can create your account right now using code HHGaming that they've hooked me up with, or you can click on the link in the description of this video, and you can start surfing the web safely today. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, but now let's get back to the siege. So let's talk about some positives here. What do I find that is really good about Clan Siege? Honestly, the actual goal is what I find is really good, which was to get clans working together to achieve common victories and to be able to progress. That is what I think we have seen the most value out of the system here, which is our clan has never been more working together, more coordinated to get a common goal, to achieve victory and succeed. And even my clanmates have surprised me with how good they have done. The last siege we had probably was the hardest siege we've done so far, in that we actually got matched up with some pretty good spenders, good accounts, there was one defense that was like a +4 crazy team. It was really, really strong. And the team were able to work together. It looked pretty bleak at the start. We worked together. We figured it out. We found each of the clan members' strengths and weaknesses to prioritize. And there's so many different strategies you can employ as a clan to success, right? The clan that we fought this siege basically set up like the early warning system where they packed out, post 2, post 3, post 5, and some of the posts along the way with their best roster. So when we first looked at this, we were like, oh God, this is going to be very difficult. But as we got further into the siege and defenses, we found their teams to be weaker and we were becoming stronger, because our strategy was to basically hold our big hitters back until we knew where all of their big teams were. So it's always a fun strategy. Do you go kind of like this first defense system, or do you try to like put all of your strong defenders in stronghold to try and hold back that because it's so many points? Or do you put them in different sort of choke points like post 15, post 14, post 17? And do you use some of these mana or power-ups to basically lock restrictions in place? Like, you obviously can do this. Now, for example, some of these powerful things, if you happen to have an extremely powerful team, you could lock it out to just include Nazeran units or only support champions, especially if you've got mythicals. Support with mythicals can be quite a daunting team to face, because you're effectively able to select mythicals that are technically not support champions, like Siegfried. Just because his alternate form of support, he qualifies for this restriction, which empowers mythicals probably a little bit too strong, but it can work. So there's lots of different strategies I've seen. Most people I've seen haven't been using power-ups. The team we just faced have used power-ups. And overall, the experience is very fun to play in the attack phase. Those 2 days you're pushing through, it is very fun. Now in the attack phase though, there is quite a lot of challenges from a clan leadership position to be able to achieve this success. The system is not very well set up to help leadership, people who run these sieges and sort of like try to strategize, to make these decisions about who should attack which post and where. I know they've put like an alert system in and they're working on slightly improved systems, but what we really need is big improvements there. We really need a system in which our clan members can suggest a team that they want to fight, and we will be able to review those suggestions and approve them within battle. Because for those clans that are not organized on Discord, this must be a very difficult game mode to engage with, and they probably don't have as much fun. So I'd really love to see some sort of like, hey, I'm going to be able to beat this team. This is the team that I want to put up. And a clan leader can basically go in and say, yeah, you're approved, you go for it, rather than having it all built outside of the system. Simply having an alert system that says, hey, we need to attack or defend this post, is kind of like asking 30 people in a queue who wants to go next. Everyone is going to say yes, or everyone's going to say no. That's not really how you organize things. So those are the positives. The positive is the game mode is great. The fundamental game mode is really good. It's fun. A lot of clan members like working together. You'll always have the issue about balance. You know, PvP, we know this. If you're in live arena trying to fight mythicals is hard. Our man's is really dominant. These things are always going to be an issue. That's not a problem of the game mode. That's a problem of the actual meta. But the game mode itself is really, really good. Now let's talk about some of the things that need to change, and probably pretty drastically. Right now, the economy in this game mode is broken. That is the biggest issue right now. It is impossible to really upgrade or downgrade. And let's just talk about first the repair concept, okay? When you defeat a tower in a siege attack mode, that tower becomes destroyed. As you can see here, our stronghold is destroyed. Our magic towers and our defense towers are destroyed. And what that means is I can't actually use my bonuses. Okay, so I could repair them. But here's the problem with repairs, and this is actually, I think, a fundamental problem with repairs. From a design perspective, is it the intention that we should be able to fully repair our towers from each siege? Or are you meant to repair it over time? Now, there's no real protection over destruction mechanics. So if I repair a building, the next siege attack, they defeat that building, it's broken again. And this is where I think the repair functions just don't make sense. Because if the goal is to repair the buildings between sieges, then what's the point of the repairing at all? Because effectively you should just be giving me enough florins that I can just repair them, so why break them in the first place? So clearly that's not the intention. But if the intention then is to gradually repair them over time, well, they get destroyed too quickly, so you can't really see any value in doing so. And you don't earn enough of these florins to be able to even remotely repair. Like, this 600 florins is the product of all of the sieges that we have ever done, right? I have donated nothing. You can see here, we can see how much has been donated all time from all of our different clan members. And I'm here, I've donated 260. So in this plus this, 860. 860 is how much I personally have earned through the entirety of Siege's existence, 3 months. And in that 3 months, we've had a siege every fortnight. So what's it, like 6 or 7 sieges so far. In order for me to repair this building, we would need 5,000 florins, okay, for this building here. And to repair this building, it would need to be 1,000 florins. So if everyone in the clan has earned 860 in all of this time, just say we take those numbers, we would have been able to earn 25,500. You think, okay, that's great. You can repair it. Here's the problem. How much you earn between sieges is more important than the total amount, right? We've been basically hoarding all florins. On average, you will earn so little. Look what I earned this one. I earned 60. 60 florins. I don't earn any florins for winning a defense. I've earned 60 in total. So if everyone in the clan earned, say, 100 florins, well, that's only enough for 3,000. One victory is not enough for me to repair my stronghold. And the defense system, the way that it is working, it is almost likely that you will lose your building. I personally think they need to get rid of this repairing concept completely. I don't think it works. I don't think it'll ever work. Either you're going to give me so many florins, I'm just going to automatically repair it, which means why should you ever break it? Because once I've upgraded my buildings, they permanently remain upgraded. So you end up in the system that florins are just a currency that you spend for the sake of spending it. Or you don't give me enough and then everything looks like this where everything is permanently broken because it's too expensive to upgrade. I think you should just get rid of the repair function altogether. the upgrading function makes sense. Although we know another problem is if you upgrade your stronghold, you end up giving the enemy more attack scrolls. I don't think the enemy should ever get more attack scrolls. I think the more you upgrade it, the more punishing it becomes to try and fight it. Maybe once you fully upgrade everything, you give the enemy an extra, like, maybe an extra attack scroll then, once you're at 90. Because right now you're at 60. The enemy gets 90. So they get 30 fights. So your siege is weaker. As I'm upgrading my buildings, this should become more challenging to defeat. Not just go, okay, we got 4 more, give the enemy another round of attack scrolls. That's crazy. So I would say 90 attack scrolls versus a 90 defense is a pretty even matchup. It doesn't allow for anyone to fail, but it does allow a stronger matchup, which is why maybe they need to add like 4 once you hit 90 or something of that nature, but not right now. So I still think the upgrading makes sense. I think you cut the repair completely, and then it means that even though I'm not necessarily earning a ton of florins, it doesn't feel so hopeless that I've earned a very little amount of florins and nothing makes sense. So that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is increase the amount of florins you earn. This is pretty obvious. I think if you win in a defense, right? If you win in a defense, for example, if I look at defense victories here all time, you can see, some of us have done really well. I've managed to win 12 times, okay? Every single time I win a defense, I should earn florins. I should earn 60 florins, right? Just holding the slot shouldn't be an all or nothing kind of concept. If someone tries to attack me and I win the defense, you give me victory points, but you also should give me florins, and this will help balance the economy because now you're giving a reward incentive for defending rather than it just being either you defended or you did not. That's the second thing I would do. So once we've done that, there will be a position in time where florins become useless because once you've upgraded all these buildings, there is a finite amount of cost to be spent here. Then you will be sitting there going, okay, well, what's the benefit now of florins? Well, they have said they're going to be changing the configuration. So when they change the configuration, I would suggest that they reset these buildings back down to level 1. So you have to start upgrading them again. And then you work out the economy of how many florins would it take you to get to a fully upgraded building set. Maybe that lasts for an extra month, then you change the rotation again. That's what I think they need to do. This repair functionality thing just doesn't work for me. Fix the economy for that. Now, in terms of mana orbs, I feel like you can see you get a pretty good set of mana orbs. I've been able to earn 2,986. I have used them once before on one of these posts, and these posts then are pretty effectively cost. You can farm them. I feel like the economy for mana orbs is pretty good. Now, in the latest update, they did fix one of the biggest issues with Siege, which was the fact that everyone can draw. Drawing is bad. If I was to be able to defeat all of your towers and you defeated all of my towers, nobody wins. Pretty stupid. I don't really know why we got there. Now they've decided to make it, if you have won more defenses and more attacks, then you win. If not, turn order. So you can never really end in a draw. This is a good solution. But there is one problem with the whole matchmaking thing that I think is endemic across lots of different game modes right now. And that is somehow, whenever they design these game modes, they manage to incentivize losing. This really came from a conversation that I had with someone in Discord about the problem that some lesser clans are having around matchmaking inaccuracies. So how does matchmaking work in Siege? Well, the first one was based off of CVC position, which I always thought was a bit weird because CVC is about how many resources you spend, not how strong your teams are. And I always said that it would balance out over a couple of months, and I feel like matchmaking is pretty balanced at this point. However, you can artificially manipulate matchmaking because the way that it works is it matches people up based on their ranking points here in tier 6. Now, whenever you win a fight, you get 6 points. Whenever you lose a fight, you lose 6 points. And as long as you're in 2100 or above, you remain in tier 6, which means every siege you pick up some of these feral pieces, which are obviously a very good set, and you want them to be 6-star mythical to be guaranteed. So there's an incentive to stay in tier 6. But here's the thing. There's no incentive for you to be more than 2100 points. And if you can get a lot of clans around 2100 points, then there's an opportunity that the big clan will get matched with a much smaller clan because the small clan has managed to win a few on the lower tier, and they're a pretty good clan, but they're nowhere near the big clans. I'm talking like top 100 clans in the game versus maybe the top 5,000 clans in the game. So what you will probably be seeing, and you'll be probably sitting there wondering, now this makes sense. You will have noticed in your defenses sometimes that people basically attack your post and there's like 12 victories in your team, right? And they've been attacking you with like epics and rares. You might be wondering, what are they doing? Well, what they are doing is artificially losing to keep their points of their tiers lower so that they get a better matchup for the next siege. They're trying to rig the match in their favor by pairing up against someone that doesn't reflect the true strength of their team, because the true strength of their team should be reflected by how effectively they win. They're artificially losing to bring that power down, which is then going to cause matchmaking issues, because you will get paired up against someone who is actually a lot stronger but have been able to keep rigging the points in their favor. Because once they've cleared these maps, they can leave one post open and hit it with as many people as they want with rematch scrolls and just basically farm losses, because probably the matchup they're up against, they will win anyway. So they're not losing anything. There's no punishment other than you fall out of tier 6. So as long as you control it, there's no punishment. In this situation here, they couldn't quite finish off one of our mana shrines, so we could hit a post 9 over and over and over again, because it doesn't affect the outcome of victory. It simply affects the ranking, so we can keep our ranking points lower. They always seem to create this in every system. We have it in CVC. Most clans will avoid the non-personal CVC and just hit 5.4 million. They get the tier 6 rewards. There's really no incentive for them to push higher in that particular non-personal system, so they try to do that so we get a better matchup the next time we go in. That's the way that it works. And you see a lot of these systems where it's rigging you to basically lose in order to win. They kind of need to solve this, in my opinion, because Siege should really be a reflection of how good you are, and it should match up clans based on how good you are. That's the proper point of this, to have fun. The only downside is in an even matchup, probably everyone beats everyone. What we know about offline arenas, generally it's very hard to put a defense up against the army of everything, right? I can create a defense to counter a specific attack. We see this in live arena a lot. If you start seeing mythicals drawn, you could pick someone like Marius. If you start seeing a slow team, you're probably expecting Stone Skin, so you can pick HP Burn to counter it. There's lots of those individual matchup counters. If you see an Armands, you know you're going to get turn meter control. Now, the problem with setting a defense in offline arena, you're trying to basically have a defense that covers every possible counter in the game. It's very difficult. Almost, I would say, to the point impossible, unless you happen to be a Kraken. So what you will find is in an even matchup, if IPR went up against the top clan, which would probably be like Pandas or something, you'll find that they'll clear each other out. They'll defeat all the enemy stronghold, you'll defeat all their stronghold, and everyone will be on 5,000 points. So then it becomes now the tiebreaker rules that they've established. Like you see here, we were pretty evenly matched. We basically won just because they kind of used their strength too early, and we held back a lot of our defenses into the shrine kind of scenario, so they weren't able to quite finish us off. But if they had been able to take the shrine, we would have been even. It would have been 5,000 points each, and then it goes to that tiebreaker situation. So the only downside to having like a good matchmaking system is, does this mode just become I clear you, you clear them? It's kind of hard to say. But what we shouldn't have is a system that incentivizes you to lose to be able to optimize your matchmaking potential. That seems to be dumb. I don't mind like not winning as much, but deliberately throwing in pointless losses just to tank your score seems a bit contradictory to the whole design philosophy that we've got here. So I think the only way you can solve that is you basically fix this rigging system here. So you either change the way the matchmaking is worked, or you basically make it so that rematches don't cost this or something of that nature. So you can only really lose points if you lose the initial fight, your attack scroll. That's probably the way that I would approach that problem. Rematch scrolls don't really count towards losses, but if you lose your initial attack scroll, then that counts as a one-time times 6, which will still create some it will still create some sort of artificial weight workings. You could lose one to win one, but it won't be as dramatic, right? It won't be so easy to tank. You'd have to work really, really hard, because obviously you're going to gain points by winning as well. The other way to do it is you basically make it so that the points are not even, that it's +7, -5. So therefore, there's much more power in winning. But this is a problem that I think they do need to solve, which is people are artificially rigging their matchmaking position, which is putting big clans up against smaller clans, and those smaller clans then feel frustrated because they feel like they could have got someone closer to their position in the same tier, but they're being sort of pushed into a fight that they know they can't win. I think that's not really to say, you know, okay, well, there should be an expectation that everyone wins, but there should be an expectation that you get drawn up against a reasonably even fight, and you can have fun doing it that way. Because that's the point of this game. It's meant to have fun. I want people to have fun. I don't want people to feel like, what's the point of engaging with this because I'm always matched up against a Kraken clan that I can't compete with. That's a failure of matchmaking. You'll always have Kraken be Kraken. You should never really have like a casual or low spender clan feeling like they can't play the game mode because they just keep always getting matched up with bad things. Overall though, 3 months in with Siege, I have to say, if they can fix some of the core economy problems, fix the building, upgrade and repairing problems so that this actually feels like a progression state, fix out all those little things, give us more control as leadership to be able to coordinate in the game rather than relying on outside the game. And they've already fixed the matchmaking issues in terms of like there's always a tie. We've got a really good game mode on our hands. I really like Siege. I think it's a lot of fun. I feel like the pacing of 2 weeks is also very good. And I already started seeing my clan thinking much more about what strategies work, what heroes work, what restrictions could we apply, and looking to push their accounts so people are engaging with the content, which is great. And that is totally different to something like Curse City, where people almost like regret the fact that they have to do it again. Or with Doom Tower, where for a lot of people in like a competitive clan, you can kind of run through it, especially now that they've reduced the power of the bosses. Once you get beyond mid-game, the bosses are not as challenging as they used to be for your roster, like Sand Devil and these things. They're not as big of a challenge as they were before the nerf, because you can run lots of different team options, and the fusions they're giving us and the free champions they're giving us are giving you abilities to be able to do these different content areas better. So it's a good game mode to help keep the longevity for us sort of older players going. But also, I think even younger clans can get in and get involved because you're getting some pretty good gear even at lower tiers. Even if you're down in like tier 3, you're getting great amount. Like 6-star legendary pieces is awesome for an early game player. Really, really good, especially like this type of perception gear. And if you can get your hands on this free champion, which, okay, if you're in tier 3, it might take you a lot longer. It's a really, really good champion. I'm on my way well. I'm at about, I think I'm about 50, 60. Where am I? 58 out of 100, so we're moving quite well to get Lamashu. I'm really looking forward to getting this. I think this champion could be really, really good. So that's kind of like where we're at with Siege, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you really think about this game mode. How are you finding it? Has the enjoyment kind of gone a bit dry, or are you still enjoying it? I really like it. I think there's got a lot of growth potential here. If they can just fix these problems, if they can just get the game mode into a really good state, I think we've got a great game mode on our hands. Yeah, so let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think about Siege right now, 3 months after launch? And I'll catch you guys in the next video.